Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sandra Cruz Unfiltered. My name is Sandra Cruz, and today I'm going to give you another reason why you should heal from trauma. Last week, I talked about the trauma we know as trauma, the deep trauma, the intense trauma, and why it is so important to release it. Today, I'm going to talk about trauma that we don't really see as trauma, and that is unconscious fears, limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging behavior, and general and social conditioning. Now, why don't we see this as trauma? Because we're doing it every day. We have been, taught to believe that. Now, what is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is something that limits us, that makes us doubt ourselves, that makes us stop in our tracks and wonder, is this the right thing to do? Am I supposed to do this? So when we start to question ourselves and our actions, that is fueled by limiting beliefs. Because if you were standing in your power as your true authentic self, you would never have any questions about the actions you're taking. And that's a huge difference. So a limiting belief could be stay in your lane, which means for most of us, go get a job that pays the bills and be happy you have what you got. Right? Yeah, it used to be like this for me. But in order to get through this, we have to challenge ourselves. We have to heal that belief simply because it's not true. It's the viewpoint of one person who, or a whole family line, who was never brave enough to step out of their comfort zone and actually change something. Now, let's look at conditioned behavior. Conditioned behavior can become from your family, or it can come from social settings. It could be friends, it could be school, it could be work, it could be the media, anything. Anything that conditions us to believe something is not good. So let me explain why. Conditioned behavior. I was brought up with the belief that self-pride stinks, which means I was not allowed to say I'm proud of myself. If I did that, my grandmother would say, "Ooh, careful, the ceiling's coming down." So basically, you say you're proud of yourself and you stand tall, you're going to get crushed because it's a very bad thing. But it's totally okay to be proud of other people. Now, here's the thing about it. Whenever I felt proud of my accomplishments, what came right after was guilt. I felt so guilty because I was not supposed to feel proud of myself. It was a bad thing. And that is very constricting. It makes you feel bad about something that's awesome. So the other thing that this caused for me was that I constantly had to ask, are you proud of myself? Look what I did. Isn't this awesome? I needed the recognition because I was not allowed to be proud of myself. Now, how completely crazy is that? It doesn't make any sense, does it? But it took me years to really break this conditioned belief. And the same is true, let's say you've been bullied in school and the kids made you feel worthless. The kids made you feel, I don't know, like you're nothing. Like you're dumb, you're ugly, you're a waste of good space. All those things I was made believe by my classmates. But all of these beliefs weren't true because what they said I am is not who I actually am. None of that is who I am. But I didn't realize that until I released those conditioned beliefs about myself. So you see how conditioned beliefs can cause trauma, and this trauma we carry on, and it dims our light. And whatever dims our light comes from trauma. Now, as you heal, your true authentic self will become more and more to your surface. Simply because it's already within you, but it's buried underneath layer after layer after layer after layer of trauma. Trauma, limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging behavior that's all stopping you from becoming your true authentic self. And as you release all those layers of trauma, limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging behavior, and generational and social conditioning, you are actually freeing yourself from all those beliefs that were put on you. And this is incredible because then you will realize who you actually are. And it's amazing because you will be free to feel however you want to feel. You will be free to own everything you do. You make a mistake, you own it, you apologize, done. You do not go around and guilt trip yourself into oblivion because you were not perfect. Being authentic means you're authentic. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist because what's perfect for me may be completely flawed for you. So there is no level where perfectionism would be, set at because we see perfection from where we are. And when we live with trauma, we don't see the perfection, we see how imperfect we believe we are. And that's why we punish ourselves. And this is a very slippery slope because you're the only person you can never get away from. So you can punish yourself for the tiniest mistake for the rest of your life. That's not life. That's running away. That's trying to hide from you, and you can't get away from yourself and your thoughts. This is like you being the empath and the narcissist all in one body. That doesn't sound pleasant, does it? When we think about it this way. So healing your limiting beliefs, releasing what other people taught us to be, will bring forth the beautiful person you actually are. You will become strong. You become courageous, assertive. You will have a confidence that's coming from within. And people will see this confidence. And by seeing this confidence, they will change the way they treat you. I see this all the time when I'm in my power. I feel good and I show up as who I am. Strangers smile at me. Men constantly open the door for me. They haven't done this in years. They treat me with respect because I'm authentic and I know that I deserve to be treated with respect. And so I release this energy. But if you're dealing with trauma, with limiting beliefs, with you not being your authentic self because you haven't reached that level yet, you won't feel as a person that is supposed to be respected. And that's the difference. You want that. And if you don't get it, you lash out or you feel pain because it hurts if someone disrespects you. Right? But once you're your true authentic self, there's no question. You deserve to be respected, and so you will be respected. And that's the difference in energy, in the vibration of when you're fully healed, when you're not healed. Now, just remember, whatever a person says you should be is not who you are. It's their perception. It's what their belief, what they think you should be. It has nothing to do with you. Anyone who has an image of you, that's their image of you. It's not you. It's what they think from their traumatized mindset, what they believe you are. Has nothing to do with you, so don't take it on. Same with fear. Let's pick the most common one, fear of failure. What is fear of failure? When we look at it, it's not about failure at all. It's about what other people will think if we fail. And besides, failure doesn't exist. It just shows us one way it doesn't work. Failure would only be if you didn't try again, but that's, I guess, a subject for a different video. So yes, healing from trauma and release limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behavior and the social and generation conditioning will bring you to the authentic person you actually are. And this is a very beautiful place to be. I do hope you enjoyed my video. I hope it helps. And if you liked it, please like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate that. And always remember, trauma is not a life sentence. You have the power to heal. Bye.